Hello everyone, this is Shadow Ghost with Shadow Ghost Gaming. We are going to do this mission here, escort medical convoy to safety and escape. We're going to talk about some best practices in this video as we progress. As a backdrop, we just received a powerful new dropship. I'm going to leave the details light in case you're not interested in spoilers. But this mission, we're really going to highlight the best strategies. I'm going to show you some of the mechanics, etc., to hopefully help you out and give you some tips, tricks, and best-in-class, or what I view as best-in-class methodologies. So let's get started. Darius, we have friendly units under fire. Move to their position and provide support. Get them to safety, keep them intact, and get out of there when it's done. Alright, so this mission is effectively an escort mission. We have units under attack. Now, one of the first things we're going to want to consider is always staying in cover. So that is forest cover. And here you can see on the left, forest reduces movement and spotting distance and provides cover 25% damage reduction. Now, since we're actually trying to move to get in position, it's not necessarily as important. We can sprint forward, but there are a few things that you want to keep in mind. First of all, you see these chevrons. We're going to call them ECs as evasion chevrons. The further you move, or the higher you jump or move with your jump jets, the more evasion chevrons that you earn. The more evasion chevrons means that the enemy, you're effectively harder to target. So this is a two-way street here, right? The enemy will also build evasion chevrons, so that's something we want to keep in mind. Now, another thing to consider is also positioning of your mech, right? A lot of our mechs, and I'll show you here in a second, have different armor. This is something you can customize. So if you wanted to, you could pick a side and just max armor that side, and then you could use that side to tank. So it's something to keep important here, where positioning and the way you're looking, which you'll see here in a second, will matter. So right there, what happens is when you fire on someone, they immediately lose an evasion chevron. Something to keep in mind. So we came into this, I think we probably ran in too far if I'm being honest, but it looks like they have some light mechs, which we can disable fairly quickly. So again, it's going to fire on us here. And luckily it missed, but we lost an evasion chevron. And this will be important when we're attacking them, you'll see. So, and I'm going to get into like turns and initiative and all that in a little bit. We're starting off with the basics. So here, unfortunately, they directly hit us. So, and we also lost an evasion chevron. So just because you have evasion chevrons does not mean that you can get hit. What it does mean is it reduces the probability of you getting hit by whichever target you're looking at. Now, the nice thing we can do here is actually also use jump jets. Jump jets count for a lot of evasions. So if you look at this, I was able to generate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 evasion chevrons. Now this is actually more. Because of a skill Decker has, we can add one. So he's extremely hard to hit. So their target percent chances, which you'll see here in a second, are greatly reduced. So right now you see I have a 25%, 35%, 25, 35% chance to hit that mech. And that's because it has 4 evasion chevrons. The default max, unless your skills allow you to get more. Here it's a little better because we have a better angle on the mech, but it's only 50 and 45%. Those are not good percentages. So we can do a couple of things here. We're actually using sensor lock. This is a mech pilot skill that you can level up. And what sensor lock does here is it targets an enemy and it will reveal it. So if this was out of range, so for example, we could sensor lock this mech over here, right? Well, yeah, there we go. And it would reveal it. We're not going to do that right now. Well, you know what? Why not? We can show you how this works. And then it also removes 2 of its evasive charges. So this guy had 3 charges. He now only has 1. And we also see that it's a commando. Now this is really important because now what we can do is move here. Now here's the positioning trick, right? When you see this cone, right, this is going to determine how you face. You always want to face forward to the enemy because here at the bottom left, if you look at that armor and the S, which is the interior structural pieces, the front armor is a lot. When we look at the back, it's less than half. So I have 90 armor in the front of my torso. In the back of my torso, I only have 45. So it's really important to make sure that when we position ourselves, we're doing it so we don't turn our back to anyone. We want to hit them to hit us in the front. So that's important to note. Now we're going to jump. The reason I jumped is it gave us more evasion. Also note that we're in the forest, so we have that 25% damage reduction. We can see this here, it's cover. One of the things we can do is generate morale. So when we kill a unit, or we hit a unit, or we're progressing, we gain morale that we can then expend on 2 vital moves. Precision strike, which allows us to call a shot, means to target a specific piece, but also it increases our percent chance to hit. We also have the option of vigilance, which allows us to gain guarded and entrenched. Guarded reduces damage by 50%, while entrenched allows us to remove stability damage. And we'll see that in a second here. So what I'm going to do right now is you see that we have 75% for our lasers and 70% for our SRMs. That's short range missiles, percent chance. I'm actually going to precision strike him. And immediately you see that in precision striking him, I go up to 85% across the board. Now one of the things I'm going to do is I want to knock him down. Well, let's take a look here. So if we look here, his center torso, right? So if we blow up the center torso, the mech dies. And we kill its pilot. Effectively has 20 armor. Right up there, you can see above 20 out of 40 armor, 40 would be the max, and 40 structural, I guess, hit points, right? If you look at the damage we do, between our lasers we do 50 damage, right? So that would more than eat away at its armor, and then we do 8 times 6, 3 times. So right now, I'm actually going to try to just finish him off. Now if we wanted to salvage him, we would aim for the leg, but we just want to kill him. We want to get him off the board. So we're going to call shot center torso, and we're just sending all of this fire into a center torso. We destroyed his center torso, and we killed the mech. Right? So that's one of the trade-offs you have to decide. If you really want a mech, right? Like if you see a good mech that you're like, hey, that's like, you know, that's a mech that I really want to add to my repertoire. That would be a good way of getting that mech is actually call-shotting the legs, right? Because if you call-shot the legs, you can actually, sorry, I just want to make sure. So again, I'm trying to position. I don't want this guy over to the right to be able to hit me. If I call shot the legs, you knock it down, and then you could blow off the other leg, and then you have 2 pieces of salvage. The way salvage works is that you have to collect 3 pieces of a mech, 3 salvage pieces of that mech variant, and then Yang will automatically build it for you. Right? So if you blow up the center torso like we did on that commando, you are only able to salvage 1 piece of that commando. If we blew out both legs, we'd be able to salvage 2 pieces. If we blew out the cockpit, which is very hard to do, we actually did it with our Jaeger mech, so watch the First Strike video if you're interested in watching that. If you blow out the cockpit or you incapacitate the mech warrior, you get 3 pieces of potential salvage to pick from at the end, and we'll see that at the end of this video. Alright, so I flew here, I worked on my angling to make sure that no one was behind me and could shoot me in the back. I'm actually going to sensor lock this locust because it has 4 evasion chevrons. That's a lot. Now, with my last turn, I have Shadow Coast. I unfortunately don't have jump jets, but I do have a lot of weapons. So you see these red lines, that means I have unobstructed views to shoot these individuals. Again, I'm trying to angle myself to make sure that I don't get hit from over there. Now I don't have a called shot because I use morale, so morale is depleted as you use called shot and vigilance. What I do have is multi-target. Now due to initiative, it doesn't really make sense for me to focus anyone else, but you'll see where that comes into play in a little bit. Alright, so there we go, guys. I hit his center torso. Locusts are extremely lightly armored, right? But they have great initiative and they can move a lot. They can build 4 evasion chevrons in a lot of cases. Alright, this is a spider. I think it goes with 2 light lasers. He did hit us, but we had 25% damage reduction. Our Jaeger mech is what we call a heavy mech. It does a lot of damage, normally has a lot of armor. The Jaeger mech in particular is actually lightly armored, but has a lot of very powerful weapons. So we want to get him out of here. Like, we do not want him taking damage. Now here's another best-in-class trick, okay? Let's look at melee 85. We are going to melee a mech. So this enemy, this locust, has 2 chevrons and has guarded. Or not guarded, but cover, because it's in a forest. If we click on it, we can actually determine the angle that we hit it. So I'm going to pick this angle because I think it's a little more, it's kind of indifferent. I want to pick the one that prevents the spider. But we're going to melee attack it. So we're going to run up. It has 2 evasion chevrons, but watch this. If we shoot at it, we normally remove 1. Now the fact that we meleeed it, we removed all of its evasion because we hit it. That's important to note. A lot of cases you might actually want to melee because you want to remove its evasion chevrons. Now we are going to build a ton of evasion again.
Roger that.
We're going to put them in front of our Jaeger mech a little bit, or next to it. And we're actually going to blast this guy with everything we got.
Confirmed.
Because I think if we hit, we should kill it, which we did. Now again, normally when we're picking these shots, we want to look at the enemy and see their armor, and then line it up with the damage we're projected to do.
Orders.
That's really important to consider. So we're in cover. Now this guy has 4 evasion chevrons, which is a lot. So we have to make a decision. Do we call precision strike him or not? Now we're at 84%. Precision strike takes 20 morale, so I actually don't know how many morale we have. Like prison must spend morale to activate. We have 40% chances across the board. However, if we precision strike, we have 60%. I would like to precision strike, and I'm going to aim for a leg, right? And because if I can knock him down, we can show you something else. I don't know.
Hot damn. Let's do this.
So we knocked him down. Now you can knock down mechs in a couple ways. One of them is stability damage. So we hit him with missiles. Missiles do stability damage, which is really important throughout the game. When they take enough stability damage, they get knocked over. If you blow off a leg, they also get knocked over. When they are down, we can do what we call a called shot. It's basically a free precision strike because they're on the ground. In this case, we don't need another spider, so we're going to go for the kill shot. Now here, let's look at this. He has 16 left. I don't need to shoot all of this stuff. So I'm going to save. We have more AC ammo. We have more AC5 ammo. I am going to save my AC ammo. And you know what? I'm going to save all my ammo and just hit him with the lasers because we only have to do 16 damage to the center torso to blow him up. So as long as one of these hits, both of them hit it look like, he's going to blow up, which he did.
Enemy mech destroyed.
So those are some good general mechanics, best practices to think through. Now here's another best practice. We need to go here to secure the medical rally point before they get ready. If you look at what I'm doing right now, I'm gathering outside. And I'm doing that intentionally because I want to bleed off heat. Whenever we fire a weapon, we heat up. If our heat threshold passes this line, we take internal damage. And that's really bad because that's damage we have to spend C-bills, which is the currency in the game, to repair. Also, when we overheat, we hit a threshold where we can't fire our weapons at a certain point because we'll explode.
You've got hostile contacts
I'm receiving a transmission from the employees convoy. You've secured the area around their position and they're making their way towards the extraction point now. Keep them alive. Keep in mind that the convoy will try to stay near you for protection. Continue advancing to get them to the extraction point. Okay, we have the convoy here. They have mobile HQ. He seems to be... We have to get him over there. So we're gonna kind of try to sprint up to them so we can tank the damage. So mobile HQ, swift wind, mobile HQ, wheeled APC. So it looks like we're protecting a
Yes, Commander.
oh geez, they're faster than us.
Moving to position.
Roger.
So I'm just sprinting. I'm trying to keep most of my guys in the forest. I sent my Centurion over here. I should have put him in the forest, to be honest with you. So that's a point of improvement. We're trying to keep up because if there are enemies up here, which I'm sure there are, I don't want our convoy to be targeted first because then we will fail the mission. Now normally we would have a light mech. Decker, who has sensor lock, and Glitch, who has sensor lock, would probably be our de facto scouts. I personally came in because this was a 2 or 2.5 skull mission. My expectation is that we're going to fight some heavy armored, heavies or assaults. So I wanted to bring or ensure that I brought as much firepower as I could. Alright, because we're so far
On
behind,
my way.
we are literally moving as far as we can go. As far as it's going to let us sprint. Because again, they are outpacing us. I thought they were supposed to follow us, but it doesn't look to be the case. Like, look how far that guy's going. There's no way we can get there. Now, another thing I didn't talk about yet is what we call the sensor range. It's my understanding every mech has the same sensor range. I don't know if there are modifications or things we can put in our mech to extend it. That would be interesting. And eventually I'm assuming they would factor that into the game. But currently I think they're all the same. And the way that works here is we have this line right here, this blue line over here. That's the effect of our sensor range. And that also depends on, you know, where we're moving, how we're moving, etc. That sensor range is the range that'll allow us to pick up enemy mechs. Now we have to have a visual contact or a sensor lock on them to be able to shoot at them. So that's really important, and that's something that we are going to want to do and take advantage of, where we will actually back up in some fights. Like the fight before first strike, or a couple fights before. More contacts, and it looks like they're sending out units to hunt and destroy the convoy. Alright, so we do have units coming in from over here. Alright, so we have 4. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to run up and create a shield to keep our guys safe. I really wish these guys would get into tree cover. One unit's safe. Now they have initiative, which there's really nothing we can do here. They have a commando who ran. They have another commando. So 4 evasion chevrons is a de facto max. Oof. Now it's our turn. We're gonna start with Decker, and we're gonna try to jump him. Alright, he gets some more evasion chevrons here. We're gonna jump him over here. And what we're gonna do is we're actually going to sensor lock this guy because he has 3 instead of 4. So take a look here, right? I want to focus fire one of them down. This guy only has 3 while that guy has 4. He's also, if we look at him, he's on unstable or rough terrain. So rough terrain reduces movement speed and causes units to take 150% stability damage from all attacks, plus 4 difficulty to hit units within rough terrain with melee attacks. So he's harder to melee, but easier to knock over. We're going to sensor lock him, reduce his evasion. Now these guys are going to go, and then we're going to get, or one of these guys are going to go, we're going to get a go, one's going to get a go, then we got to do our last 2. Holy smokes, I shouldn't have sensor locked yet. I should have reserved Decker. So reserving pushes you back into another phase.
Good to go.
Because we're trying to, right now what we're looking for is can we get 3 evasion chevrons and force cover. So we can only do so much. 40%.
Affirmative.
The reason we're going to do this right now here, we're going to shoot that commando to remove his last evasion chevron. So we're not really expecting to hit him, although we did hit him, which is fantastic. We removed his evasion chevron, so he can now not evade. Now we're hoping we need to get. So they have a cicada. We actually don't have a cicada. Oof. Hit the armor from the side.
Waiting for orders.
Now, one of the challenges we have is our Centurion here is short ranged and cannot run too far because it's heavily armored and these weapons are out of range, unfortunately. So we're going to brace. Now what brace does, I'll show you the next turn here. Brace reduces damage by 50% and it allows us to, oh nice, our units can attack also. It reduces damage by 50% and like I said before, it actually reduces all of your stability damage. So those missiles or AC, which are auto cannons, so projectile weapons, create stability damage which can knock you over. When you're knocked over, they get a free called shot, right? They're basically a free precision strike. Okay. So my Jaeger mech is kind of our long range mech. I'm trying to maximize our usage of evasion chevron, so I moved as far as I could to build some evasion. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a precision strike on this commando. And we're going to just so we have to select stuff. We're just going to fire everything we got because if one hits, it kills them. So that's one weapon off the board. Now another best practice I'd recommend is removing enemies from the playing field. So sometimes you'll face 4 mechs and face 4 to 10 potential tanks. You might be better off, you might be better off actually taking out the tanks. Because that's one less weapon, that's one less thing that they can do. Now, I'm actually going to reserve this turn, and the reason I'm going to reserve is that all my units here, so we're really worried about them, so let me think about this. There's nothing we can do to really disrupt them. Alright, now we know that this commando just went, so if we wanted to do something, what we could do is we're building 5 evasion chevrons, so he's very hard to hit. we can sensor lock him. We don't want to sensor lock these two because they can still move. But actually what we're going to do is we're going to precision strike the cicada. Now, before we do that, let's select the cicada and see where her PPC is. The PPC is in the right torso. So what we're going to do is we're going to precision strike her in the right torso. And the reason we want to do this is that if we can eliminate that PPC, right arm PPC crit. So I think that has to crit twice or 3 times before they can't use it. The reason we did that is we're trying to remove a weapon that they can fire. Now this hunchback is what's really going to screw us over. Because if you look at that, that is 6 lasers right there. They just blew up one of the vehicles. There's nothing we could have done there. We needed to run further ahead of them and slow them down. Alright, so now we have glitch. And what we're going to do with glitch here is we don't really have any cover options. We're going to move her up. And what we're actually going to do here is we're going to sensor lock to remove this guy's evasion. And note he's also on unstable. And that'll be important because you're going to see when I use my Jaeger mech here in a minute. The hunchback is the scariest thing we have on the field here. It does the most damage. What we're gonna do, we're just gonna fire everything we got. Try to build up stability damage. Alright, they have 3 out of 3 units. Shot them. And now, okay, the cicada's moving. This is not great. We're gonna shoot. It's gonna shoot at us, that's fine. We want to protect the convoy, and we're there to do that. Alright, so here we have a trade-off. We can do 3 evasions and cover, or 3 evasions no cover, or 2 evasions and cover. We're gonna opt for cover. And what we're actually gonna do here is what we call a multi-shot. If I'm not mistaken, we can multi-shot here. And we're gonna shoot the cicada with our lasers and focus our primary weapons on the hunchback in the hopes of knocking him over. So we're hitting him, we're doing stability damage, and we knocked him over. That's fantastic. And then we also did some damage to the cicada and removed an evasion chevron.
Good job. Objective secure.
Alright, now we can get to the evac zone or we can fight these guys. I don't have a hunchback yet, and I'd like a hunchback. I think I have 1 salvage piece of the hunchback, so because of that, I want to blow off both of his legs. Because if you blow off both of his legs, we should get 2 pieces of hunchback salvage. Right, so the strategy here now is to take as little damage as possible as always, blow off both the hunchback's legs. Because he's knocked down, right? Because he's knocked down, I can have called shots. Now what I did was I'm using water. When you're in water, so when we're in water here, we actually gain plus 50% ability for heat sink. So we reduce our heat. Tundra biome, so always look at your biome. That's the environment you're fighting on. Actually increases the heat sink stability by 10%. So we're running very cool. Meaning we can use our weapons more often. Oops. I want to target the injured leg that we already have. And I'm turning up the LRMs that reduces the heat that we regenerate. And, okay, so that's that leg. Now again, we are focusing, we're trying to keep our movement, so you see how he turned and he was able to get around behind me, or to the side of me. We would take more damage if he was behind me.
I hear ya.
Now glitch is kind of in an interesting position. We're keeping him in front of us.
Soar!
And again, what we're trying to do is get the free shots on the hunchback, trying to blow off his leg, which we haven't done
Another
yet.
hit like that and you're toast. Ready for orders.
The behemoth, we're gonna keep him in front of us again.
Aye, aye.
And again, so he's gonna stand up. So when you get knocked down, you can actually stand up. So what I'm trying to do
Firing on
here
target.
is ideally blow up his legs.
Let's hit him hard.
Right leg destroyed
That hit something good.
before he stands up. So he's gonna stand up now. And he's gonna pick entrenched because he wants to remove his stability damage. Did he vigilance? I think he might have vigilanced because he got in, or I guess he entrenched then moved, which you can sometimes do. Now for us, what's more important, evasion or tree cover? %. We're gonna call shot his other leg. Because if we get the leg, like I said, we should get 2 pieces of salvage. Oh, man. We can't shoot his leg, but he still has all his lasers, guys. That's disappointing. We're gonna actually vigilance, increase our damage reduction, and just let him have it, because... So we destroyed a bunch of heat sinks.
Enemy mech. Critical damage detected.
And we knocked him down. So interesting situation. We must have hit something to knock him down. That gives us called shot. Now hopefully we can blow off his other leg, get 2 pieces of salvage. Okay, so you see how he tried to flank, he flanked us and he hit us in the back. We have very weak armor in the back that we looked at before. So for
What's up, Bob?
Glitch, for perspective, she has 45 armor in the back, right? He actually, I'm not exactly sure what the heck he did, but he did not he did not do as much damage as I thought he would. Alright, so now the question is, I'm picking Shadow Coast because I really want that hunchback, so if we can kind of target his leg and blow it up, that would be fantastic. I am going to save some AC2 ammo. Both legs destroyed, so we should have 2 pieces of salvage, and if I already have a piece, we should get 3, and then at the end of this, you'll see how Yang assembles a new mech for us. Now, the disadvantage of doing that is I am allowing the cicada to get behind us. We saw that we had weaker armor, so we might take some serious damage here. Alright, luckily our evasion allowed us to miss a lot of that because of our movement. Now, what I'm going to do here is bring Decker up, and I'm going to use sensor lock, right? Because if we shoot at him, we remove 1 evasion chevron. If we... Let's see who the bigger threat is. This guy has a large laser, SRM-2, and medium laser. This guy has a MG and a PPC that's damaged. So the commando is the bigger threat right now of the 2. He can do more damage, right? Again, I play where I want to take off as many weapons from the field as possible. However, I also want to melee to remove the evasion chevrons.
You betcha.
So we're going to do that too. So normally we would shoot and just blow up the commando, But here, we meleeed, we took off the leg, we knocked him down. When they're knocked down or you get knocked down, you lose an initiative, effectively. Not initiation. And that's what's up here. You see that these turns are based, so you follow in order. We're in the 3rd turn. I get a pick, right? And if you look up here, they have someone in the 2nd turn coming up. So this guy is most likely going to be able to move in the next turn. Because he has no... Well, it looks like they both already moved. And this guy got knocked back one because they're grayed out. Now what we're going to do here is a called shot on his back. And the reason we're picking his back is that it has 20-60. So we do more than 60 damage here. So if all of these hit,
Taking the shot.
He's going to be critted and blow up. Exactly how we wanted it to pan out.
Hostile eliminated.
Now, I think we have 4 pieces of salvage. We're gonna obviously get the hunchback.
Yes,
But
Commander.
you know, okay, so it reset. We gotta go. We have to move. We gotta move 3 of our guys before he gets to stand up. I know it's mean, but sometimes it's just good to put them out of their misery. So that's a perfect example of our Centurion has a small laser. Small lasers, if you're really close, you can fire them, but also if you melee, they auto fire, which is fantastic. So you can output a fair amount of damage.
I hear ya.
Glitch is in our heavier mech. She does more damage. She does not have an armament on her that would really be conducive to melee. She doesn't have a small laser. She doesn't have a machine gun. So we're just gonna try to blow off this guy's other leg, which we were successful at doing.
Give him everything you've got.
And that should be the mission, guys. We are going to take a minute to go through salvage and look at that. All targets eliminated. Sit tight and I can collect you from where you are.
Mission.
So those are some good tips, tricks, best in class practices, at least in my opinion. Please post or comment on things that you suggest that you like to do, and that would be fantastic. So let's see here. We did everything we needed to do. I thought we wouldn't get a bonus because we lost one, but it looks like they're still paying us a decent amount. I think the max was 100, so I think we're actually under what our target was because we lost one. We gained some mercenary review board creds. That's great. We're 152 rated. We get bonus Arano restoration because this was a mission for the Arano restoration. And then -1 for the Regan Directorate. We kind of hate the Directorate, so I'm okay with that. Excellent work, Commander. I was right to put my faith in you. You're a critical part of the restoration effort. Thank you, Lady Arano. This is our damage and impact to mech warriors. So at the top, the way we interpret this is first, regardless of kills, you get a certain XP for kills throughout the mission. So we're getting 1600 XP. That's pretty good. Nobody's injured. The way injury works is that you have these pips here, or buckets. So Behemoth has 5, and that's because of how her talent tree we're building her, while the rest of us have 4. That's how many times you can get injured. So if you take missile damage, you get meleeed, you get hit in general, you can take damage when you're in that cockpit. And if you hit the 4, if you're injured 4 times in a mission, you're out. So you're incapacitated and most likely you die. So that's something to consider. You want to watch stability damage. You want to use brace to reduce that stability damage when you have too much of it. It looks like our Jaeger mech's doing what it's supposed to do. It actually has a lot less armor than everything else. I didn't realize it was that low, but it's really good at killing stuff because it outputs a lot of damage. So we have 1 out of 3 pieces of Hunchback. We're going to finish off our Hunchback 4P. That is exciting stuff, guys. Y'all should be excited. I'm looking at this, and I I don't have a cicada yet. I don't really like cicadas, but we already have a commando, so we'll confirm that. And yeah, we have some stuff. The one thing I did not look here, guys, which I should have, is plus weaponry. Plus weaponry is very critical. So yeah, those are some best-in-class tips, tricks, recommendations, generic gameplay or gameplay basics, I would say. So please post comments. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would be great. I just wanted to show you guys this. So I had 3 out of 3 pieces, so Yang assembled it. The 4P version of the Hunchback trades the singular impact of a massive autocannon for a frightening array of lighter energy weaponry that is actually capable of dealing more damage overall. This all comes at the cost of greatly increased heat buildup, of course. So now, the way this works is that I only have so much space to store things. So you have to pick something to put in storage, which I can't use actively. So I actually picked my Panther because I actually do want to use the Hunchback moving forward. So thank you guys for listening in. Hopefully this was an educational tutorial for best-in-class tricks. Please continue watching my campaign if you'd like to see how we progress. I will call out spoilers in the headers if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching while I stream live on Twitch here, I'll obviously forewarn you. So we're going to call this recording or this video at an end, and we'll continue with the next one. Thank you.